8:48. Now, it has been 4 decades since he dramatically retired from his music career, leaving behind countless hits such as Cars and Our Friends Electric.
Fear not, because Gary Newman has returned to the stage back in May, and now a new fascinating documentary in which he is very frank about himself, uncovers his journey from way back when to Wembley 2022, and he joins us now. Hello, Gary. Lovely to talk to you. Thanks for joining us. God, you haven't changed much at all.
Oh, my pleasure, thank you.
You look pretty much the same. And we'll come to the reasons for that in a second, because you're very frank about that too. Why did you retire all those years ago?
You know, I only retired for about 6 months. That's the truth of it. When the whole thing happened to begin with, I didn't take to it. I didn't enjoy it. It wasn't what I expected. And I think the problem was that it was just too much, too intense, it was too chaotic and mad. You know, like the whole world seemed to go mad around me. And so I just wanted to step back for a little bit and get a grasp of it, you know, kind of understand what had happened and try to come back into it with a little bit more control over it. So I only actually stopped for a short while. I stopped in 81. I think I was working again at the end of 82. So it's not as if I've had a 40-year gap and I've come back. The documentary really is about getting back to the same level. You know, that's been the problem. took forever.
So that's really interesting. So this documentary, Gary Newman, Resurrection, and it sort of follows you behind the scenes, and it kind of tracks your progress as you head back to Wembley.
Yeah, it looks at the early career and why I found it difficult. And it spends a fair amount of time talking about, you know, the impact that I had on the music scene. And there's some really lovely comments from some really cool people like Dave Grohl and Trent Reznor and Jean-Michel Jarre and so on. But it really is all focused on this getting back to Wembley. Wembley for me, Wembley Arena became a symbol, if you like, of because that's the gig that I retired at the first time. I did Wembley and then I stopped. So being able to get the career back to a point where I could play Wembley again was a symbolic part of this for me, part of the journey. And that happened this year. So that's why it was, for me, it was a massive deal, you know. And but it really did take 40 odd years, and I thought it would take 40 days, you know. Terrible.
Well, you've got, I have to say, what I regard as a very healthy attitude to yourself and your profile and publicity and stuff, because your philosophy is basically, with journalists, with this documentary, with us here this morning, ask me what you like. I can't tell you how many people who are famous like you we get all these riders, you know, in our notes. They won't talk about this, don't ask them that. They'll walk off the set if you touch on this subject. It's a pain in the neck, to be honest with you. And you're not like that. You're not like that. And in the documentary, you cheerfully admit you've had, what, is it 5 hair transplants? And you've had a facelift, and you're happy to talk about it.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah. I lost count. So I've had 2. I've lost count of facelift. 2, I think. So none of this is real. Yeah.
Well, how
looks good anyway.
People say, "Oh, you're aging well."
Yeah, you are. It's like that old joke, you know. Somebody's 70th, it's like somebody's 70th birthday dinner, and the host stands up and says, "Well, John, I think we all agree you don't look 70. You did once, but, you know, but no, you look very much the same." It's a good joke, isn't it? You look very much the same. How old actually are you, Gary? What's your age?
64.
Wow.
64 and a half, nearly. No.
Yeah. Did you have to think very hard about having a couple of facelifts, or did you just think, no, I'm doing it?
No, didn't think hard about it. It's easy, you know. You start to look like that, and then somebody says, "Oh, you can look like that." So, oh, okay, I'll give that a try then. I don't care. I really don't care. You know, I'm kicking and screaming to the day I die, trying to fight against anything to do with getting older. I don't care.
Good for you.
Everyone should do it.
Gary, something else you've talked about very openly is about having Aspergers syndrome, and you know how you've dealt with that. How did it manifest itself for you, and how have you dealt with that? Because I think for anybody watching, those people who've also had that diagnosis, or maybe haven't had it diagnosed, but are kind of struggling with how they're feeling, it helps when people share about it, doesn't it? It helps when people share that.
Well, I see it as a gift. I swear, honest to God, you know, if I could have my time again, I would choose to have it again, because it brings so many things that are useful and positive. the only downside of it, everyone has it to different degrees and will experience it in different ways, I suppose. But in my experience, the only downside of it is that I'm not very good. I don't interact very well in social situations. I'm very awkward, very overly self-aware, not in a positive way, in a negative way. And so my wife, Gemma, is gifted with communication skills and being around people. So I just kind of hide behind her when we're in social situations and let her, you know, she can talk for England, you know, she just talks brilliant at it. And I use the skills that it brings me for work, you know, for focus. Right. You know, they say people with Asperger's are obsessive, like it's a bad thing, but it's not a bad thing. You know, being obsessive, you know, if you're flying an aeroplane, you know, you need to be obsessive about that, you know, because your life depends upon it. So there are times when being obsessive is a good thing, and I think it certainly is for music, and it gives you a focus, which is, you know, just absolutely. I often think, if you think of having like a snowplow in the front of your face and you just push through life like that, that's kind of what it brings to me. And you need that in the music business, you know, because it's a bit brutal at times.
Gary, I wish we had more time. It's fascinating talking to you. We've had some really nice interviews on the show today, and it's nice to finish on another great one. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks so much. And we should say Gary Newman Resurrection is on Saturday the 13th of August, 9 p.m. on Sky Arts, for those people who want to see that journey for you heading back to Wembley. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Gary. Take care.
And Good Morning Britain's back tomorrow from 6. Now it's time to join